Hello and welcome back. Matt from Gallantway here, and today we are looking at how to profitably scale. And it's probably one of the most common questions we have, but we get it in a kind of different way. We normally get it in what's a good conversion rate, or what's a good ROAS, or can I try this new marketing channel? But really, this is the question that a lot of the founders and marketing teams that we work with, this is the question that we work with them and we help them answer. So in this session, we're going to be starting to use those metrics that we've developed and looked at already and applying them to the business in a way that gives us a very clear way of understanding, hey, not only can we scale, but can we do so and make sure that we keep making money? So the process is actually pretty simple. You're going to need the incremental MER that you've already calculated. You need your gross margin. And then we've built a calculator that you can put that data into and start to understand and apply that in a way that makes sense for the business. And then finally, you're going to have some pretty clear ideas about how to go about doing it. As a general rule, the real world that we live in, not Excel or any modeling software or forecasting software, it very rarely ever sees a linear decline in performance. And we mean that each ad set or campaign or marketing channel or initiative will decline at different rates or improve at different rates as you add more investment. So that's worthwhile thinking about. The second thing is that your blended MER will always follow your incremental MER. So if your new customer incremental MER is dying, if it's decreasing, if that dollar that you're spending tomorrow results in a lower return than it does today, your overall profitability is going to trend the same way. And then finally, it's very difficult to know exactly which each point in time every incremental new customer MER for every segment of spend. So, with challenges in attribution and privacy, it becomes very difficult to always know which each dollar, each cent, even though we would like to, as the platforms would like us to believe, hopefully make it easier, like Google and Facebook. They want to make it easier for us to improve our ROAS. But the reality is we're actually looking for that next dollar. When does my next dollar stop making me money? That's the question we really want to answer. So in our calculator here that we'll provide a link to, we've got a number of different inputs that we use to calculate whether that next dollar stops making us money. So in this example here, let's call this a beauty brand. Their gross margin is 70%, so includes shipping and delivery. Essentially, how do we get the product in somebody's hands? These are our ad spend scenarios. So scenario 1 and then scenario 2, which is scaled. This is the total new customer acquisition revenue. So from that spend, what did it result in new customers? That would give us our blended MER, which you're already familiar with, and then our scaled scenario. And so let's just unpack this a little bit. What do we use current and scaled, and what do these mean? So essentially, current is our baseline. This is where we're at today. It's a reflection of the current performance of our new customer acquisition activity, our investment and return. The next part, the scaled part, this is an idea for us. This is us looking back into the account, into the business, trying to identify areas where you might have run an experiment in the past by scaling up an audience. You might have had a period of natural experimentation where for example, the 1st to the 15th of December, you might have scaled your investment seasonally. And we know it's a period which is not affected by shipping in other parts. It's a natural experiment. And so we can use the performance from this period to give us a scaled scenario, give us an idea, a period, a segment of data to work with, to apply to our business, to give us an idea of what, if we scaled investment, what that would currently look like. You can obviously do this as well. You can make multiple scenarios here and look at different options. You might look at your conversion rate in Facebook audiences where you doubled your investment and look at that, what the output is. Same for Google, same for TikTok or some other channel. But the idea is to either look back into the account or come up with a couple different scenarios for spend. Then what we do is that gives us a blended MER, so very much the same as the first part here. And using this data in our calculator here, it gives us the incremental. So essentially, what's the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2? What's the difference between our baseline today and our picture of the future? And what does that look like in terms of ad spend and revenue? So in our scenario here for our beauty brand, we're currently spending 20 grand a month. We're looking at scaling to 25K. Off the 20 grand baseline, we're generating $85,000 in sales at an MER, a blended MER of 4.25. And for our scaled scenario, we're looking at a scenario, maybe they ran a promo in August or something, or November, prior to Black Friday, where they were able to spend up to 25K and generate 100 grand in revenue. So that comes out at a blended MER of 4. So looking at those numbers, we're spending 20, we want to add another 5. Based on the history of this account, that would generate an incremental MER of 3. So we can see the difference here. We can see we're going from a 4.25 across the total spend of 20 to across that spend of 20 of $5,000. So that additional $5,000, we're going to generate a lower return. And this is very natural. It's very common to see this. And this is, again, why it's important to keep testing, to keep optimizing, to not just rest on the audiences that you have today, because they very much will be gone tomorrow. So for the business, as I said, you'll spend an extra 5 and you generate $15,000 in revenue. When you look at your contribution margin, you look at the margin data, it's only going to shake out to be an additional 5K. Which gives you an idea of, hey, yep, we probably still can scale this, but we just want to be very careful about how we do so. We want to be thinking with an efficiency mindset for this scenario, this investment here. We can see, maybe this was a completely different scenario where they generated $200,000 off that additional 5K spend, which would be a fantastic result, a wildly good result. And we'd say, hey, for that additional $5,000, you're generating an extra 115 incremental MER of 23. It's a fantastic outcome. Let's do it. Let's do it today. And then let's see how far we can push that spend. So this is a scenario and a calculator that we'll link to, and you guys can apply to your own business and your own channels and your marketing spend to give you an understanding of how can I better answer the question of what's a good ROAS? Because what's a good ROAS doesn't matter. It's when does that next dollar stop making my business money? Thanks.